Legends to the hero who fought along the diablo. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of His name.
The world comes to Lowell, Massachusetts.
This award is for the Channel 8 Show of the Year. We fudged it a little bit because it's actually a series of shows that were done by Fru Kembang. He produced a handful of shows over the last year, and he invited dignitaries from southern Cameroon into our studios. And the topics were the Southern Cameroonian independence, political warfare, atrocities. You know, no topic. I mean, the topics were intense, and there's trouble there, and there's still trouble there. We have sort of a tagline here at LTC. We like to say that LTC is the voice of Lowell around the world. Well, not only were we the voice around the world, but because of Fru gave the Southern Cameroonians a voice around the world as well. When we did one of the early shows from Studio A, we went live. It was during the day. We went live. We had these very important dignitaries in, and we also went live on Facebook for the first time for us, doing two live experiences at once. Well, the video, which was live on Facebook, had over 78,000 views, and was shared over, yeah, it's amazing. It was shared over 2,700 times. A day or so later, we took the recorded version of the file because it was a little higher quality, and we uploaded that. Again, it had, you know, I don't know, thousands of views again. Over on YouTube, the videos were seen, again, around the world with the same incredibly high numbers. So I'm pretty sure that those numbers are an all-time record for LTC. So you all should know that even though we're a small, little, local community media television station, there's proof right there that we can have a huge impact across the world. So for giving the Southern Cameroonians and the worldwide diaspora a voice, we award Fru Kembang his series, Channel 8 Show of the Year.
Thank you very much. Good evening. There is a lot to like about Lowell. Besides being what I call the UN of cities, there is Lowell Telecommunication. If you want to visit the 7 continents of the world, spend 7 days in Lowell. My name is Fru Kembang. I was born in Bamenda, southern Cameroon. Bamenda is the economic capital of southern Cameroon. I have volunteered for Lowell Telecommunication since 1999. I have served on the board for close to 10 years. I facilitated the establishment of a transatlantic sister city relationship between Bamenda and the city of Lowell in November 2002. I want to acknowledge the good people of Lowell and the city council for unanimously voting to condemn the atrocities in the southern Cameroon. And it's the only city so far around the world that has done that. I am very humble and grateful for the wonderful job that Lowell Telecommunication does. Special thanks to my friend Dan Toomey and to Wendy Blom, the executive director, whose name is a household in the southern Cameroon because of the TV program. I am humbled by this award. LTC has provided a platform and for me to educate the world about the crisis in the southern Cameroon. I would be remiss not to acknowledge my good friend, John McDonald, and the City Life show. A huge thanks to the Cameroonians and friends of Southern Cameroon. Lastly, but not the least, I want to thank my lovely wife, sitting here with my son Fru in Kimbeng, for supporting me all along. I gladly received this prestigious award for all those who seek peace, justice, and liberation for Southern Cameroon. Thank you very much.
Let's talk for a minute about development in southern Cameroon. So what is the state of, the built infrastructure and the economy and government support and resources to that region?
Let me give this more statistic. Mr. Paul Biya comes from a region of the Cameroon that has less than 2 million people. The southern Cameroon has 8 million people in 2 regions. Now, one of the regions had, for the 2017 budget this year, had, let's say, it had 43 billion. Let's just say in terms of dollars, let's say $43 million, just for the sake of the percentages. And the other region had 41 million. Mr. Paul Biya's region with 2 million people had 123 million. So the budget he allocated for his region, which is less than 2 million people, is more than the budget allocated for 8 million people. Ours forms 75% of the budget he allocated for his region. And that's why over the years, our institutions have crumbled. We have nothing. As a matter of fact, even those institutions that were functioning, we had a power company, we had an electricity corporation that has been disseminated. It doesn't exist at all. As a matter of fact, we now depend solely on the national grid, which is powered from their end. We had a bank. The bank has crumbled. We had airports. They don't exist again. Every of our institutions that we held very proudly, we had a cooperative society. Our cooperatives nurtured our agriculture, coffee, cocoa. those things don't exist again. We have no identity because of the way he has systematically transferred us from a people who were proud of being the British Southern Cameroons to today. Our children don't even know who we are. So it's systematic. And their plan is eventually, if we don't hold the ship now, tomorrow we would have no belonging to where we came from.
And it's quite deliberate. It's important to emphasize that it's deliberate. It's not mere neglect. It's deliberate. To the point where talk about electricity, it gets to a point where we are entirely dependent on the Republic of Cameroon for our electricity, and it holds for everything to even traders on the roadside. If you have to travel from the one part of my country to the other, from the south, from the northern part of the country to the southern part of the country, you travel, there are no roads that link the northern part to the southern part. You have to travel across the Republic of Cameroon to come to the southern part. And in the process, whatever expenditure and spending you're doing, you spend on the other side of the border. So everything is so well planned and well calculated to the point where we have been completely emasculated. And where we are, it's not so much an issue of language or culture. It's an issue of the complete eradication of a people as a people. And that is something that we cannot allow. And where we stand, we're pushing back, we're taking back our territory, we're taking back what is ours, and we are more than capable of reconstructing it.
Mr. Chairman, we just have about a minute left.
I would want to thank you for inviting us here, and I want to say a message to our people back home. You have to remain strong because we can see the finish line. And I'm calling on all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to get ready to go back and rebuild their nation.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you for watching. And please be attuned to future developments in this issue, which is a very important one that not only affects Cameroon, but really affects the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
This has been the trend in the last 56 years. Every time the people try to stand up, they play for time, they bring some divisive language, especially in our region, because our region happens to have two main, what you call here region or states.
Yeah.
So you have the Northwest and the Southwest.
Okay.
And that always was their trump card. Every time there was a small problem, they will go and engineer some conflicts behind and say, oh, the Northwesterners against the Southwesterners. Over time, what they have not realized is that the 21st century Southern Cameroonian does not see himself or herself as a Northwesterner or a Southwesterner.
Wow.
So when they try to play that card in January, it flopped. Until tomorrow, it will fail. And that's why they don't know how to handle this current crisis. And as I've told them, 2017, that country will never be the same again.
Wow.
I don't know how.
Wow.
The Lord is my strength.
Oh, yes.
Trust me, we are going one way.
Oh, yes.
If He carried the children of Israel from Egypt to the promised land, He has shown me that promised land. I don't have a run. But when we get to that Red Sea, He will open it for us.
Sure. What can you identify as the achievements of this tour thus far?
Wow, I have been blown away. I got into Oliver Tambo Airport at 4 a.m. and my people were there in the morning in the cold. We've landed just now and my people have been there. I gave a speech yesterday and people, we have messages, they're saying people are crying. Okay. I was told by a friend, he said he went out in the morning and he saw old women going to church. And one turned and saw her friend and she said, come quickly, let's go and pray for Sisiko. We are very mindful of your expectation that it has to be representative and manned by very dedicated, very committed and resourceful Ambazonians. The goal of this dedicated group of men and women, that of our ambassadors, the goal of our frontline leaders, that of our country leaders and all leaders for that matter, of our restoration train, is to lead all Ambazonians to total freedom in Buea. The key of making this journey quicker and shorter is unity.
We must unite for the sake of the suffering masses of our people. Let's transform unity from the virtuality of social media platforms into the realities and the challenges that face us on a daily basis as we ascend our undulating but morally legitimate and politically charged journey towards the restoration of our statehood. Our people yearn for genuine unity in which we put our differences aside and focus on getting everybody to Boya. I mean the type of unity that we witnessed in the glorious days of the 22nd of September and the 1st of October 2017. The unity when our people rose as one. We held hands and declared shoulder to shoulder that we are no longer afraid of being free. I mean that unity that we demonstrated, each of us, by every one of us, from every little corner across our land, from the borders of Nwa to Akwaya and down to Bakassi, from the hilltop of Oko to the plains of Ndop, from the shorelines of Victoria to the mighty Mount Fako. Yes, that unity from the heartland of Manyu, where our people have shown tremendous resolve, and to the banks of the river Mungo, where even nature reminds us that we no longer belong together. This is a patriotic call, and I appeal we heed to this call. How did we get here, my brothers and sisters, fellow Ambazonians? In 1953, the British Southern Cameroonians, our representatives in the Eastern House of Assembly in Enugu, seeking self-autonomy, declared benevolent neutrality, and they walked out of that House of Assembly. This marked the birth of the fight for an independent Southern Cameroons, the land and the territory that God has blessed us with to live and to raise our children happily. Since then till date, we have never gained that unconditional independence. Our land has been illegally occupied, our resources indiscriminately exploited, and our people assimilated and marginalized in political, in economic and social spheres, in a strange union with La République du Cameroon, a union that never was since 1961. For more than half a century, we have been deprived of our inalienable right to life, our right to liberty, and our pursuit of happiness. Looking back, I am thinking of major political figures like Dr. Emmanuel Mbela Lifafa Ndele, like John Gufoncha, like Solomon Tandeng Mona, Augustine Gomjua. These people who believed in the vision of an independent Southern Cameroons. They fought till their dying times. I think of activists like Albert Mukong, who suffered brutal and inhumane treatment in the famous Kondengi prison for fighting injustice, injustice that engulfs Ambazonians within La République du Cameroon system. I think of statesmen like Ambassador Henry Fossum, whom I met only a couple of days ago. I think of Barrister from Gorji Dinka, Molan Jolly Tumbe, Mfongalam for Augustine Dangam, and many others who have sacrificed their lives for the liberation of Ambazonia. I think of nationalists like Dr. Chuayaba, Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga, Bo Herbert, and a lot of us who live out seeking exile. They are all in exile fighting to free.
Hey gay! I come back to a gay! Hey gay, can they gay? Hey gay, monyo gay! Hey gay! One day gay! Hey gay, how can you gay? Hey gay! Gay! Barrio! Gay! Barrio! Karamutama!
Seseku Julius Ayokabe, Assistant Vice President for Digital Services and Chief Information Officer, Office of Technology and Digital Services, American University of Nigeria. Yeah. Ifa, Tibet. Ayo Richard Familia Nene, Ajo, Evan Kezenene. Aramejieba, oh, Ajo, Aramejieba.
Aramendiye
Taba taba tu ojo huper area jo. Yengbe. Atom tu ba nga kameye. Akogurengbe. Aremisieba. Akebetembeze. Aremisieba. Akawe amono kobo. Aremisieba. Mangbe agobaki ajo. Wow, ya monyo. Wow. Wow, ya monyo. Oh, akaba ya monyo. Oh. Se chulo staba. Akaba. Akaba ya monyo. Oh, topo. Oh, akaba.
The story of that peninsula will never be the same again. And we are on course to take us to Boya. We need your support, financial, moral, and this struggle, I believe very strongly, is spiritual. So we need your support spiritually. People, go down on your knees, and that's why I urge all our leaders, past, present, and future. If you want to remain relevant, you must sing this song to the tune of music that the people are calling. Any one leader who betrays this struggle, that struggle will throw the person under the bus. It doesn't matter if that leader is Sisiko. But nobody has paid a price greater than this struggle. That the person will turn around and tell us that, go back to school. This is the people's struggle. Your sacrifices are nothing compared to the overall value of this struggle. Urging all the leaders in this struggle, all the stakeholders in this struggle must be very careful. If you take the money, and by the way, should you take the money? My answer is yes. Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money. But if you take that money and you act against the will of the people, they will abandon you. This movement, this whirlwind that we are in will pass. The struggle will be in vain if we change what we started from. Mr. Paul Biya has a choice to accompany us nicely out of this marriage, so that we become two very good neighbors nations. Or he forces our hand out, and then we become two very unfriendly. We are going to negotiate on the conditions of federation. We are not going to negotiate on the conditions of his decentralization. We are going to the table to negotiate the terms of our separation.
Glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation.